We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Saturday, and as I promised, we have a guest on the show today. And this is a guest that's never been on before. Her name is Khristi, and she's in Portland, Oregon, if I said that properly. Khristi, welcome to the show. I love to see a new face on the show. Uh, you'll find out later that your courage pays off well because it's not going to be a problem. It's going to be easy.
Cool. I'm excited. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, I talked to Khristi before we started here, and I quickly found out that I'm in the same situation I am with Old Soul and Eric and Jace and all the other ones, Ed for that matter, that come on the show. I lucked out and I found somebody who's probably a lot smarter than me. So this show is going to be really good, but it ain't going to be because of me. It's because we're fortunate enough to have somebody who knows some stuff. And you were suggesting something. You also have a appreciation for Old Soul, but
I do.
but you're kind of, maybe I wouldn't say the polar opposite of Old Soul. Let's just say you're more like me. So how did you describe yourself, Khristi?
How did I describe myself?
To me,
Besides
just
straightforward, tenacious, and I just want to tell people to fuck off, where Old Soul is very, kind and sweet and, a little bit more benefit of the doubt. She feels bad for them, certain Republicans, and I absolutely do not feel bad for them.
wow, that sounds familiar. So as much as there's compassion when Old Soul is on, it's not going to be like that tonight. You got two people with cold hearts and have no fucking time for Trump fucks. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so people know who you are? You gave me the litany of things that you're involved in, and I was duly impressed. So let the folks know.
Thanks. Yeah. So originally, Boomer, I reached out to in September, and during that time, I was managing two nonprofits. One in Seattle, which is a new music nonprofit, focusing on creating scholarships for local artists, and then in Portland, where I live, a micro grassroots organization called Milk Crate Kitchen, where we focus on breaking the barriers to food insecurity. So that demographic would be low income, LGBTQ, BIPOC, single parents, like no cost, no questions asked. And that covered all of Portland and two other counties, so the Portland metro area. And
And
now, sorry, go ahead.
no.
Now I kind of stepped out of that, and I decided to really focus on myself, actually, and I'm opening my own consulting firm, Levac Consulting, that has multiple facets, including restaurant bar startup recovery, as well as marketing, as well as the nonprofit sector, and then personal assistant and house management.
Now you see what I mean. We've got Khristi here looking to change the world, busy as hell, and I'm an old white guy sitting in my living room. So, but I'm not intimidated. I'm not intimidated, Khristi. Don't worry about that. Now, when I talk to you, if I met you someplace and we were just talking and being as businesslike as you are and as focused and as cut and dried as I am, as far as what you think and how you think, I might immediately think that you're Republican. Do you ever get people
Well,
thinking that?
no, I get more that I'm East Coast.
Well, there's that.
Um,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I'm definitely not passive aggressive, and West Coast is definitely labeled passive aggressive. Men too, is probably why I'm still single.
Do you scare a lot of men, do you?
You know what? They say that they like independent, strong women, but
Until they
over on
get
this
one.
side,
Until they get one.
until they get one, right? And I have opinions, right?
Yeah. My wife is independent and fairly straightforward too. And I love her. But some days, man, some days it's not easy. Of course, I'm
Well,
not
this
real
is
easy
the
to be
deal.
around either.
Well, I think you're cool. I think I resonate with you, excuse me. One thing about me is I am opinionated, right? I do a lot of research, I educate myself. So I think my strong opinions are usually right, However, if I have a conversation, if I'm communicating with someone, open dialogue, I will change my opinion if I see what you're saying and I actually agree with it. You know what I mean? So there's no reason to be intimidated by, someone who speaks their mind or their opinions.
Well, it's funny. When I do this on TikTok or on the podcast, people do resonate with it, obviously. And but when I'm uh, around certain people that maybe aren't as confident or aren't as outgoing, it makes them uncomfortable because
Right.
I say that y- my I'm a lot like my granddaughter. I'm a lot, and you sound like you might be a lot too. And there are some people that just don't can't understand that at all. Do you run into that?
Of course, but my question is there really such a thing as too much,
Yeah, well, yeah.
right?
Well,
Is there?
especially in this circumstance when we're talking about what's going on in politics. Now, prior to Donald Trump coming into office, were you as informed and as interested in politics, or was that the kind of trigger point for you getting involved or more
Yeah,
vocal?
good question. Thank you. So I did grow up in politics, not even a percentage of what I'm involved now. But I did grow up blue. My mom is totally, you know, the biggest Hillary fan in the world, which I love. Her best friends are gay and lesbian. My older sister only dated BIPOC men. Like, so I grew up in it, but it was kind of this toggle effect. It was always like, there's going to be a Democrat, there's two terms, it's probably going to go to a Republican. So it was just kind of this game that went back and forth. Um, when I do my own voting, I'm the type of person that has Google open. I have that gray magazine and I'm looking through each, candidate and doing my research before I just, fill in that bubble. And honestly, prior to Trump, I would say I'd be more of a moderate Democrat because I did choose some Republicans that were more on the fiscally, what I thought fiscally responsible or that matched my personal views. But literally after this shit show, I am so far left. So, and I'm progressive, don't get me wrong. I'm feminist, pro-choice, Planned Parent, all of it. But yeah, this Trump here really, really, really got me involved.
We sound similar in one respect. People always say to me, "You seem so sure of yourself." And it's not just because I'm being cocky and I'm sure of myself. I'm kind of like you. Once I find out about something, I got to dig in deep. I need to know
Mm.
everything about it before I start opening my mouth. And then, well, I don't always do that. I get caught sometimes not knowing as much as I should know, but generally that's the case. And I think that's maybe why this show or TikTok resonates with people because most people don't have the time or the ambition to take the time to look into it. So it's interesting to run into a kindred spirit who does pretty much the same thing I do. And once you've done that, of course you're confident of what you think because you've looked into it.
Right. I mean, I even put myself through hell watching Fox News sometimes, or, the RNC, the debate, even though
Yeah,
I
I
just
know. I
die
have
inside or want to rip out my freaking hair. But I do it because I want to see what they're saying. And when I get trolls on TikTok, which happens quite a bit, sometimes I troll them too, but I'm ahead of the game. I know what they're going to say. I know the names they're going to call. I know the points they're going to spew. So it's really just almost being prepared.
what happens when you run into a Trumplafuck? Because for me, I can survive without engaging with a Trump humper. I don't need to debate them. I know I can't teach them anything and I know I'm not going to change their mind. So it seems like it's pointless to me to wade into that. But inevitably, Trumplafucks just feel compelled to, if they know how you think, especially
Right.
when you're a little higher profile like me and doing this in front of a lot of people, they feel compelled to come up to me to show me. It's like being the biggest guy in a bar and the little guy wants to call you out. because they
Right.
want to show how tough they are. It never works out well for them.
Right.
But do you get that sort of thing if people know who you are, or is it different because you're a woman?
Well, it's definitely because of a woman, and it's really interesting because I do make a lot of comments, on TikTok quite a bit. Maybe it's very addicting, probably on more than I should, but it's interesting in a very short amount of time when I make comments on other creators. I now have like 1,000 followers. It is nothing, right? It is nothing, but in
That's
a
a
very
lot,
short
man.
amount of I think so, but do you know who it is? White, middle-aged men who are like military or religious, which is completely opposite of anything that I'm posting on,
Right,
right?
right.
I will find TikTok has become an outlet for me because politics is very overwhelming for a lot of people. And it's something you don't bring to the dinner table. So TikTok is kind of my outlet. To talk about these things, or
Right.
even to, like I said, even troll a couple people. Even women that support Trump will be like, have some self-respect, even just getting that 2 cents out there. It's like, think, people.
Well, I'll tell you the advantage I have over you as far as collecting followers. Um, you're an attractive woman, and you put an attractive woman on the internet, and you can get all
Thank
the
you.
wrong kinds of followers. I used to be a traffic reporter. Okay. And if you have a stalled car on the shoulder, it's going to slow down traffic. One time we had a stalled car on a shoulder in a busy part during the rush hour, and there were two teenage girls in bikinis in a convertible bouncing around the car. That was a fucking
Right.
9 mile backup. So, so when guys are cruising through it, um, uh, the internet, and they see, oh, she's attractive, I'm going to follow her just because of that reason. So they
Right.
aren't even listening to you at first. Eventually they do. Now, me, on the other hand, you got some big old dumb white guy sitting in his living room. I've told people, I said, I tried the thirst traps niche. It didn't work.
No OnlyFans for you?
No, no, I don't think that's in my future. I just don't. Um, Now, we were talking about this when Donald Trump was running in 2016. I think you, like a lot of us, thought he had no chance to
Right.
win. Why do you think
Right.
he did win?
I think that, I think I overestimated the intelligence of a large population in this country. And
I'd
I've
have to
traveled,
agree.
yeah, thanks. I traveled, I travel internationally, do a lot of third world, and then I've traveled quite a bit of this country, which is beautiful. And through Georgia, I used to live in Florida when it was cool. Like, I've done a lot of things. And I think he unveiled the cockroaches.
Hmm.
I think that these people are there. I think that they were there, they are there, and they will be there. We just need to get them back under their racist rocks, man. I don't know what he said that was just completely brilliant to people, but it is. He doesn't say anything. He
No,
just rambles about shit, and they're like, brilliant, you know? So I think it's appealing to the racists, the bigots. He uses so much fear mongering, and people don't do what you and I do. They don't research, they don't look at the opposition. They just don't do it. They don't do, you know, quick example when I was watching Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis on their debate, she kept saying, look up RonDeSantisLies.com, look up Ron DeSantis lies. It's like, why are you telling people to do more work? They're not going to do the work. They're
no,
not going to
hell
look it
no.
up.
No. I think part of the reason why Donald Trump succeeded, because he needed more than just the base. I mean, we know the base. I agree with you. I was disappointed, found it disconcerting to realize just how many dumb fucking people there are out there, and there are a
Right.
lot. Um, but I don't think he would have ever won the election had he not been legitimized by the media. He became
right,
such a shit show. He became good TV. It wasn't about journalism. It was about getting viewers. Oh, what
right.
crazy bullshit did he say now? Let's put him on MSNBC. Let's put him on CNN because that means ratings. And he got on so much that that somehow legitimized enough people to get him in position. And then the Republican conservatives or the moderates or whatever, and even some independents said, "Well, he's a Republican, so I'm getting on board. Let's take a risk," and they fucked up, frankly.
Right, for sure. I mean, and that's where the battle is. That's where I've really never seen so much division until
Yeah,
him.
it's true.
Seriously. It is,
The-
it's always owned the Dems, it's owned the libtards, right? And the media absolutely just put him in the spotlight, which he loves. That's literally all he wants is the spotlight. Yeah, and they just plastered him everywhere.
Now, if you were as a consultant, what you're venturing into now, what would you do with somebody like Donald Trump if you met him and he was going to be a client of yours? Is there anything you can do with a dumb fuck like that?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't accept him. He's always given me the ick, you
Yeah,
know. And when you own your own business, you have the right to
yeah.
decline. There's
Uh,
no way, no way. And the thing is, before you even sign up a client, you do the research on the client. You're going to see he never paid anybody. Why would I sign a contract with them when he's been bankrupt so many times?
yeah, yeah. And he doesn't pay his bills.
And he
Does
doesn't
it?
pay his bills. He doesn't pay his taxes. He doesn't do anything. He's
Now,
shit. He's
I,
shit
I,
human.
I think that in his heart, he's not as much as a criminal as he is a narcissist. And what he does is he rationalizes anything he does, thinking it's perfectly above board and legal as long as it satisfies his need to enrich himself. He doesn't look at it as a criminal behavior. He's looking at it, well, I'm Donald Trump. Of course I deserve special consideration. But then he gets so deep into it, then he has to create another criminal act and another criminal act, and then all of a sudden, he's probably one of the most prolific criminals in this country's history. If you look at all the charges filed against him, I mean, I asked that of the crowd and they in the audience here, and they said, "Well, we found one other guy that had 171 felony charges, but Donald Trump is second, and no one is even close." That's a lot to say about a guy who's pretty much run New York real estate for 50 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, he'll get what he wants. He's going down in history for sure. He'll be written in books, right? Things not to do. I just don't understand how you wouldn't. I do understand narcissism. Get it? I've worked with people. One of the reasons, actually, why I stepped away from Milk Crate Kitchen, dealing with the narcissist is a really difficult thing. The other thing connected is, I do think he has. I think he is a sociopath, truly.
Oh, no
And
question.
I also know he has no, how do you not have a moral compass? How is there no right and wrong? You know you're lying. You know that you're cheating. You know that you're stealing. You know what you're doing. How do you not know?
Well, I don't know that he does know. I think what he has, having had a father that was narcissistic, I think they do believe what they say. I think it's just a mental illness, literally, an un unmedicated mental illness, and they see that as their superpower. I'm the greatest guy in the world, and I will tell you, there are people in this country. There's a lot of leaders in this country, and I can see looking at you and some of the other people I've talked to, you're a leader type. But there's a lot of followers in this country, and there are a lot of people in Donald Trump's base that feel like they've been put upon or beaten down by the government or by this country in general. And when they see some guy that says, I'm going to fight for you, I'm your champion, I'm your tough guy, they'll get right behind him and do whatever he says. And they'll accept anything he does because this is the one guy that was going to be the leader and the champion for the idiots of this country.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at January 6th. Of course they followed him. They
Yeah.
followed him right to the Capitol, right into the Capitol.
What do I get I have a lot of arguments with people. I don't talk to Trumplefucks that much anymore. I pretty much ignore them, but I get a lot of Democrats or liberals that will come to me and they're very upset. They're very upset that Donald Trump's going to get back in office, or he's going to um, beat all his cases. He's going to get away because he always gets away. He's going to get away, and for me, that's annoying to me because first of all, I think it's defeatist behavior, uh, and and there's no need for that right now. But if you look at the logic and the facts and use common sense, there's no way there should be any fear of that. There's no way he runs the table on 91 felony charges.
I agree. I don't think he's going to make it that far. I think we're the defeatist. So for me, I'm very hopeful, but I'm also a realist. There are definitely days where I've been down, and the reasons for that is because if it were anybody else but him, he would be in jail.
Yeah.
He would have an ankle bracelet. He would have his passport taken away. He would not have the platforms that he continues to have, the campaigning and the rallies. And even recently Judge Engron lets him still have a 5-minute talk after he said no. Just things like that is what I think, because for me, I know it really pisses me off. I'm just like, what is it about this guy that he continues to spew his crap? If it were anybody else, they'd be lynched, you know.
Well, that's the one thing I think has been exposed by our legal system, by our government. Um, we presumed that there was teeth in Congress, in our government, in our legal system, and I think there probably would be for you or me or somebody else. But when it comes to the elites, the powerful, the rich, there is no teeth. There is nothing holding them back. Everything that's going on with Donald Trump, like him talking for 5 or 6 minutes in Judge Engeron's courtroom, it's all about fear. That's what Merrick Garland did. He didn't do anything at first until he got Jack Smith because he was afraid of
Yes, man.
how it might look. And there has to come a point when it's just the law or it's not the law, and not worry about the court of public opinion. And
Right.
that's kind of what I do here. My wife will say to me, "You can't say that; it'll piss off some people." And I go, "You know what? I don't care. I'm going to be real. I'm going to say what I say. People can hate me. People can love me. It doesn't matter. It's just somebody at some point has to say what's true, and we're not seeing that with our Congress, with our government in general, our judicial
Right.
system. And I think we can thank Donald Trump for at least exposing that. We're not under this idea that it's all powerful and everybody's treated fairly, because clearly that's not the case.
Right, it's not the case. Or, they continue to put stays on his gag orders, and just all of these little, the one thing I think about though is it actually part of the strategy that they do let him talk? Because everything is being recorded. Jack
Right.
Smith is our guy, and Trump just continues, to spew shit over and over and over, contradicts himself, catches himself in lies, and then lies again, which is another, he's a pathological liar. So add that to the narcissism.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, especially in this Judge Engeron's courtroom. He wasn't going to be allowed to speak during the closing arguments because he wouldn't follow the rules. So then he starts talking. He jumps in, um, and he starts talking. Letitia James and the prosecutors did not try to stop him. The judge did not try to stop him. And some people might say, well, they were afraid to stop him. And I think you're absolutely right. I think the idea that Donald Trump's ramp or rant is in the transcripts of this now,
Right.
that is going to do nothing but hurt him when he tries to appeal this. So they said, fuck it, cut your throat.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, I mean, I think he's going down. I think that his name is going down. His sons are going down. I don't know how Ivanka is getting out of any of this or staying out of the press, how she's so protected. Um,
I
the
don't,
whole espionage thing too.
yeah.
There's just so much. There's so much happening.
Well, and people will come to me and say, "Oh, nothing's going to happen to Donald Trump. Nothing. It's been 3 years and nothing's happened to him." And I say, I beg to differ. He's got 91 felony charges. He's got a court case, trial that within a couple of weeks they're going to take away all his money and his power. He's
Right.
78 years old. He's not very healthy mentally or physically. I would say a lot of shit's happened to Donald Trump in the 3 years. None of it good since he's left office.
Right. I agree. I mean, even if you just look at him during his press conferences, he doesn't look very
No,
good.
no, no. He definitely does not look he's well, they all look worse after they've been president, but he looks especially bad. And it's hard to imagine when you live on a diet of Big Macs. You'd think that'd be good for you, but apparently not. Um, this lawsuit, now that it's over with, Donald Trump did what he did. Now we're just sitting waiting for Judge Engoron to
DC.
come up with a number, and
Oh, yeah.
whether or not he's going to be banned from doing business in New York. For me, I think this may be the most devastating thing for Donald Trump, at least to date, and maybe in total, because he is a narcissist. It's all about him. It's about how he's perceived. I'm rich, I'm powerful, I have property, and I'm a land baron, or whatever he thinks he is. His image is paramount to him. I know this from
Right.
a narcissist. It's all about image. And once you embarrass them, they lose their shit and then ultimately they run. That's always the way they go. Um, in your
Or they lie
experience,
and gaslight.
yeah, they lie and gaslight, but eventually that stops. They get in a corner and none of their strategies work anymore. So then they don't know what to do because they've always worked. And Donald Trump has had good luck with it when he was in his own business, but he was the king of the hill. Now he's not the king of the hill, so his strategies aren't working. I'm presuming they're going to come back and say at least $370 million. He's not going to be able to work in New York. From what you know of narcissist, how do you think that's going to impact him? I think it's going to destroy him.
Oh, I totally agree, especially with narcissists. I mean, they're all appearance, like I said, they gaslight, they lie, they're kind of peacocks with their feathers. And then once that's all gone, they really have he has no substance. There's nothing to this. He's a shell of a human. He's not smart. He's
Yeah,
not healthy. And all he literally has or going on had is everything that was given to him.
right.
I mean, he's bankrupt steaks, vodka, casinos. I mean, fraud of university fraud. He is horrible. He is deplorable.
But
And
remember,
I think he's going to be completely deflated and probably just run to Mar-a-Lago
if he still has Mar-a-Lago, because
if he still has it.
this whole New York thing, even those things outside the state of New York are tied in through companies in New York. And I heard Michael Cohen say this. He thinks the most devastating thing will be if, when this all comes to fruition, he's going to be devastated because the guy's not doesn't have a lot of cash flow. He's cash poor. Everything
Right.
he has is worth money, but it's all leveraged. He doesn't have a lot of money. That's how narcissists do this. They it's all about appearances. I've got all kinds of money, but I can't buy lunch because I don't have cash. But if they end up taking away Mar-a-Lago, that's kind of his crown jewel of his properties. In his mind, that's his home. That's the thing that's going to absolutely destroy him. And Michael Cohen thinks that that's going to be part of it because it's all connected into an LLC in New York.
See, right, different LLCs. Wasn't he yeah, his $1 billion Mar-a-Lago, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't he trying to put Mar-a-Lago into either Eric or Don Jr.'s name?
he was. He
He was
was
trying to
trying to,
transfer it over.
which is ironic. That's a little hard to do when you're in receivership and somebody has to know everything you fucking do. I mean, what in his wild, how is a guy in business and not know that you're going to get caught doing that? He's just, some people would say he's bold. I think he's just stupid. I think
I agree.
he's gotten away with so much stuff. He just assumes he's going to get away with it, and now he's getting this realization that he's not getting away with anything. And this is why I don't think he'll be the nominee. I think with all this stuff going on and it getting worse over the next 10 months, I don't know that he'll be able to get out of bed eventually.
Right. Right. Like, yeah, like I said, he's going to be so deflated.
Yeah,
He has a grandiose ego, and that's being squashed right now.
well, as a woman in the business world, I know you run into a lot of guys like this on a smaller scale. I did too when I was in business,
Yeah.
and they're very difficult to deal with. The best thing you can do is just not deal with them at all. But we're
Right.
forced to deal with Donald Trump. Um, what do you say to the folks that say yeah, he could be president again? I mean, I saw somebody talking to a pollster, apparently a well-regarded pollster, which seems oxymoronic to me. But um, he said, I'd bet $150,000 that Donald Trump will win the presidency in 2024. Well, I don't have 150,000 bucks, but if I did, I'd take that in a fucking minute because
Oh yeah.
there's no way he wins.
Yeah. If there was $150,000 bet, I would double it and go all in. There's absolutely no way it is going to happen. There's no way. Not only that, like his voter base is split. Independents are going left, moderates left,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's the only other
So,
option.
yeah, I mean, it just blows my mind. When a while ago, having conversations about Trump and talking to friends and family members, I'd be like, man, I lost this person. Man, I lost that person. I didn't lose them. I didn't lose people out of my life. I'm glad that they're out of my life. So if there's
Absolutely.
anyone that still considers that this thing, this man, Donald J. Trump, is anything to look up to, anything to support, that tells me exactly who you are and exactly who any, I don't want any connection with you whatsoever.
My, my attitude with these people is, and I've said this to my wife, and she goes, that's so arrogant. And I go, well, no, but it's truth. Over and above the ideology of what Donald Trump believes and what liberals believe and stuff like that, if I talk to somebody and if after all these years, 6 or 7 years, after all they've seen and all they've heard, if they still support Donald Trump, you're just too dumb for me to hang out with.
Yeah,
And if you're dumb about that, you're dumb about everything. And I can't do anything with that because, I, not everybody is super intelligent, but you got to have a little common sense, a little logic.
common sense. And how about some values,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where's the integrity in any of this? We're in 2024 now. How do you even support a racist, bigot, misogynist, twice liable essay? Like, I just go down the laundry list
Yeah.
of how horrible this is, and I do real-time facts with people. And,
They don't like that.
sometimes
They don't like that.
they absolutely can't stand it. They can't stand it, And then I also come to a point, I have certain people, well, I'm neutral. Well, if you're neutral and you choose not to vote, then don't talk to me about anything. You don't deserve an opinion because you
Right.
don't know shit.
Well,
And
it,
don't come to me bitching when,
I,
when
I think
things are bad.
I think one thing you and I are similar in, at least I'm guessing at this point, um, the one thing the Trump-fucks hate when you talk to them is when you give them facts that they can't answer or they say they don't know anything about, but then they'll ramp it up a little bit. I've had guys, I'm talking just like this. I don't yell or scream in any circumstance. I've quit doing that 30 years ago. Um,
Yeah.
and and I'll state some facts and they can't answer. And they'll look at me and they'll say, well, if you're going to get unhinged about this, if you're going to get crazy on me, and they want to ramp it up to yelling and screaming. And then when you don't yell and scream with them, they just get totally frustrated. They don't know what to do with it because that's the only realm they can deal in. They've got to turn it into a loud argument so they can win by talking louder and longer. And I tell folks, I say, I've been talking all my life in radio and such. If you think you can out-talk me, talk louder and be more tenacious about it, I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. I'm a professional at it. I'm going to embarrass you. And I've had a few Trumplefucks on the show thinking I'm going to take this guy down. And it's not that I'm any super intellect, but it's that these people are that stupid.
Oh, I've listened to him. You school him quite well. But you have to think about it. I mean, that's what the Republican Party has turned into. That's what their role models are. That loud, flippant, name calling, deflect, project, all of these things. So it is in our best interest. I'll speak for myself. It's in my best interest to stay calm, stay factual, and it pisses them off even more because
Right.
they're not getting this crazy, loud reaction back. It's more of like, this is just the deal, dude. Fucking think about it. Like, look beyond your nose. There's a big picture here, right? A way bigger picture than your Fox News echo chamber here.
Well, to give you an idea how the Republicans think and how they deal with things, we know they tried to start an investigation on Alvin Bragg up in Manhattan, and he basically
Right.
told them to fuck off. They tried to do it with Fonnie Willis, and she told them to fuck off because they have no jurisdiction. You know who they're looking to investigate now? I just heard about it yesterday.
What,
Yep.
Letitia James?
No, Cassidy
Oh,
Hutchinson.
oh, what?
Yeah. I don't know what they hope to accomplish with that, but Cassidy Hutchinson is one of the few people in politics that actually had the courage to speak the truth. And she
Right.
was in Donald Trump's circle. So that's the ironic thing. Everybody talking against Donald Trump are his buddies or his cohorts or his employees. That's why it's
Right.
so hard for them to argue their points. Their own people are given the evidence. But now they want to check into Cassidy Hutchinson. I got to tell you, if they're going to try to intimidate Cassidy Hutchinson, they should have started a long time ago. Because I have a friend, I'm willing to bet there's plenty of liberal folks out there willing to protect her in any ways she needs to be protected.
I agree. I think it's just another, shiny thing. Look over here. It's don't focus on me. Don't focus on my 91 felonies, right? The other day, whoa, was I in the best mood ever watching the Dems on fire. You got Moskowitz and you have Raskin and you have Crockett and AOC and just burning the Republicans. And it was fucking fantastic. We need
Yeah,
more of that.
I like it, and you're talking about the hearing as they were going to decide whether or not to uh, suggest Hunter Biden for contempt of Congress.
Yes,
A-
exactly.
And they were all excited. We're going to have it on TV. We're going to expose him, and Joe Biden's going to get hurt by this. I liken that situation to James Comer and Jim Jordan being General George Custer at the Little Bighorn. They thought they were going to nail this thing, and they got fucking wiped out. They got
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
wiped out. I give the when you heard from the Dems, they say, "Oh, we didn't plan anything." Fuck you. You had fucking pictures this big. And Jared Moskowitz, he's a relatively new representative, but I'm beginning to like him. First, I thought he was just kind of a loudmouth guy trying to get attention, but he didn't fuck with these people. He knows exactly what to say, and he gets after them.
He's like, I'll be bipartisan right now. Let's do Hunter in contempt. But while we do that, I have Jim Jordan, Biggs, boom, 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 that are 608. Oh, Swalwell did awesome. Yeah, it was a brilliant move. I
It
thought it
was.
was fantastic, and I think they need more of it.
Well, the reason why it was so brilliant is because of what it was. You probably had a lot of Republicans watching it. Yeah, I want to see him get Hunter Biden. And what I loved about Hunter Biden is they're trying to get him for not showing up for a subpoena, and there he is sitting in the front fucking row. And then when Marjorie Taylor Greene starts to get up to spout, she just stands up and walks the fuck out. I thought it
I
was
stood off
hilarious.
of my couch. I was biggest cheerleader for that move right there. I don't care if you want to call it petty. It was a bunch of fuck you, you know, and I love it. We need more of it. MTG is probably, I mean, it's really hard to say I have a least favorite, but I have definitely written letters to ethics committee, called her offices. MTG, I loathe that woman.
Do you believe that woman actually went to college?
No,
She
I
has a
don't.
college degree. How does that happen?
I don't know because she didn't absorb anything.
And what about MTG's favorite little bitch, Lauren Boebert? You gotta love her.
You know, she, I don't like to call people dumb or stupid very often, but, and I definitely don't want to put people down for having a GED. I think it's great, you know, if you don't, whatever reason you didn't graduate high school and you get your GED and that's your next level of education. I think that's fantastic for people, but it didn't do it. It, the reason why people attack her for it is because she really is really dumb.
Yeah,
There's no reason why she should be in Congress at all.
no.
You know, it's the type of thing that you're like, you know, whose D did you suck for this job? That's kind of where your brain just goes to. Is how the hell did you get here?
Well, it sounds like Ted Cruz's, because Ted Cruz was the
Ew,
one involved and got
ew,
him money.
ew, ew.
I tell you what, if you have to do anything with Ted Cruz, you better get a good fucking job.
Ew.
Wow.
That is a horrible image.
It is a horrible image. And for those folks listening to the podcast, eating
Or
breakfast or lunch, we apologize. Well, we won't do it again, I promise. Uh, so Lauren Boebert's bouncing around, and I don't think she has any chance of being reelected, which is probably good. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's from a district that's just so fucking red and so Trump. I don't know that um, she will get reelected or not. I think the big thing that's going to come is when Jack Smith finally comes out with these superseding indictments, when they finally go after the members of Congress, because there was no question the members of Congress, some of them, were involved in the insurrection. They've got to be taken to task. And as much as people think Jack Smith is slow, and I don't usually have full confidence in anybody, I have full confidence in Jack Smith. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. And even if you don't think it's fast enough, I trust him.
I do too. I do too. 110%. I trust him. It seems like it's slow, but think about how big these cases are.
Yeah. I mean, that's what people have to understand. These cases against Donald Trump will be the big in looking back historically, these will be the biggest cases in the history of this country. You
Yeah.
can't afford not to be perfect on it.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I, you know, Merrick Garland, bless your peeping little heart or what people say, but he did the right move. I think he made the right move.
He did
I
it too.
really do. I think he stepped out and brought in the big guns, and I fully trust Jack Smith.
The only thing I will say about Merrick Garland, and I like Merrick Garland, I think he's too tentative. I think he's too worried about what the public perception is. I think he did the right thing with Jack Smith, but I think he waited like a year and a half to do it. And that
Right.
was the fatal flaw. He should have done it right away. He should have. I mean, I don't know. Did he think it was just going to go away? Because he didn't do much of anything prior to Jack Smith coming in, and he came in what, November of 21 or 22. He Jack Smith's only been there maybe a year,
Right.
and Merrick Garland's been there for
Or
3 years.
right. I think Merrick Garland's delay definitely was a poor decision. Um, I think it was pretty timid, kind of weak. I also don't think that he really understood the caliber. Was it going to go away? Probably not. Did he know how much involved? I don't know, because more and more just keeps coming out, right?
Well, I think had Donald Trump done his time as president, and then after he lost, just shut up, he wouldn't be in this trouble now. Everything that's happening to him now is all because he brought it on himself.
Right.
Everything that's been exposed has only been exposed because he did it to himself. He could have done all this stuff, and a lot of people wouldn't have known anything. But because he can't shut up, that's why he's going to be going to jail.
Right. He cannot shut up. And, what we were talking about a little bit earlier with, Trump and all of his money and his name, he probably could have stayed under the radar
Yeah.
if he just shut his fucking mouth, but he can't. And I loathe him. I can't look at him, his voice, everything about him. He just, uh, you know, give me the nearest bridge. But there's one thing he has really, um, like lifted the veil
Yeah.
on a lot of corruption that has been going on that may have continued to go on as is.
Well, it's been going
If
on for decades. I'm a firm believer in destiny, that things happen in a certain way, in a certain time frame, because I've seen it in my life. It may or may not be true. I believe it. That's all that matters, is if I believe it. If nobody else believes it, it's fine. But I feel like this is a process we are made to go through to
right,
kind of cleanse a very dirty system. It's like a clogged drain. It finally got clogged where nothing is going through. So something had to happen to clear it out. And I think
right,
that's maybe what we're going through now. And it's tough to go through it, but it's necessary and it's important. And as bad as it seems now, I think ultimately when we look back 5 years from now, we'll look at this as, I'm glad that happened. It was tough. It was abhorrent, but we wouldn't be in this position now had we not gone through that.
I agree. I agree. It sucks. It's been going on forever. The lobbyists, the NRA, Clarence, just all of it. And now it's all coming to light, and it needed to happen. It's going to be kind of, I mean, I don't know how to put a time frame on the cleanup of this
Oh,
mess,
it's going to be
but
forever. Yeah.
but it needed to happen. And now people are being exposed.
Well, and that's the one thing. We're going to take a break here in a second, but I I have a lot of people that contact me and they'll say, "I just can't wait till Donald Trump's gone and we can go back to normal." Well, what's normal? And
Right.
frankly, do we want to go back to where we were before? I'm suggesting that whatever we end up after Donald Trump is eradicated with all the Trumplafucks, it'll be better, but it won't be a normal that we've been used to. It'll be a normal that we'll become accustomed to and appreciate, but it won't be anything like it was. This has been kind of a transitional time for this country, and it's probably necessary.
I agree. I agree 100% on that. Um, but why would you go back to normal? It's kind of like a a progressive moment right now, if you think about it.
Right, right. It's like a couple if they have rough times and they talk about getting a divorce and they're separated, um, and then they decide to get back together. Well, you don't want to go back to where you were. That's what brought you to the divorce, or on the verge of the divorce. You want to improve on it. And I think this will give us the opportunity to improve on, what's going on in this country, because I don't think people trust Congress. I know they don't trust Congress. And we're finding out about our Supreme Court not being the most ethical. None of these are helpful in maintaining democracy, so we need to clear this out. And it's not necessarily just Republicans; it's Democrats too. Uh,
Right.
we're focused on the Republicans now because that's the dumpster fire. But once they're out, we got to kind of put our foot on the necks of the Democrats too to do the right thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Menendez or whatever
Yeah, yeah. I
that
have
guy, get him out.
people will say, "Yeah, you're just a dumb Democrat." I'm not a Democrat. I look at this not so much as Democrat versus Republican. I look at as us versus them. Us, I'm meaning the citizens of this country and our government. Our government is supposed to be working for us. They haven't done that for a long time. We got to put out the fire, but then we got to change the paradigm here and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing as opposed to what they've got away with for decades.
Right. I think people forget that we actually pay them.
Yeah,
Their paychecks are from us.
right.
Why are they not working for us?
Right. Well, yeah, I, I, they pulled the wool over our eyes, made themselves out to be royalty, and then for whatever reason, we treat them as such, and that's the problem. We got to stop doing that. We got to treat them like employees and have expectations and goals for them to reach. And if they don't get those goals, then they're fucking gone.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we're at that point. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back, and we've got the second half. So stick with us. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back right after this. We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Listener Khristi is with us. It's her first time on the show, doing a great job. It's always a good deal. And this happens all the time when I have guests on the show. Just get somebody that's smarter than you and you look fucking good. And Khristi's not disappointed in this situation. Uh, I wanted to talk about this imminent thing with this Iowa caucus. Everybody gets so jacked about the Iowa caucus, and I feel like Iowa. Everybody's so excited, and it's like meeting a guy or a gal at 1 o'clock in a bar, and you're so excited, and then you never call them again because nobody's going to go back to Iowa after the caucus on Monday.
Right. I really don't understand why it's such a big deal. Originally, I thought Iowa was blue. Wasn't it
Yeah,
a blue state?
I think it was. Yeah.
So it's really interesting to me the strong flip to red.
Well,
Um,
I think it has a lot to
go-
do with the evangelicals. When Donald
right,
Trump released the evangelicals on this country and all the racist and all they got a lot of rural country out there, and in the rural country, you've got some backward thinking racist types. And I don't mean to besmirch rural people because I have friends that are rural people, but to a large degree, that's true. And I think when Donald Trump made it okay to be racist, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, and also let the evangelicals have a little power, that's where we had the problem in Iowa. I know Eric is listening and he'll probably straighten me out on this shit, but that's just my perception.
yeah, I recently listened to Eric. He's you guys have a good show too
He's
together.
he's a smart guy.
I have zero interest ever going to Iowa, to be honest. So I've never really been through. I've definitely been through, small towns. Portland, believe it or not, Oregon itself is actually very white itself. Coming from Seattle, Washington, which is a huge melting pot, moving here is like, whoa, it's very white. I think Iowa is very white as well, correct? It's not a
Absolutely.
huge
Absolutely.
melting pot.
No.
So that's where that racism, you know, the the discrimination really comes in, the judgmental people. So we have Ron DeSantis rolling through, Nikki Haley rolling through in second place, but ultimately everyone really knows that if Trump makes it through, he's going to win that state.
Oh, no question. No question. And he didn't even visit the state recently. I mean, in this last week. Um, it's ironic, though, that Iowa, I did a TikTok about this. Iowa right now is going through this winter storm. We're not getting it much here in Minnesota, but in Iowa, just below us, they're getting like 10 inches of snow, maybe more than that. They're getting sub-zero temperatures. They're getting even more sub-zero wind chills. you've got all these people freaking out. Oh my God, it's an extreme weather event and all that stuff. And I said, what the fuck are you talking about? I live in Minnesota. Sub-zero temperatures and 10 inches of snow, that's any Thursday in fucking January. So but we've got Ron DeSantis, who's from
Yeah.
Florida, and Nikki Haley from South Carolina. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. I did a TikTok and I said I offer some pro tips to those people that are unaccustomed to being in the winter weather. I said, first of all, if you're in Iowa or Minnesota and it's sub-zero, before you do anything, when you approach somebody, before you kiss a baby or shake a hand, the first thing you must say is, cold enough for you? That's just required. You got to say that. And secondly, and this may not resonate with you depending on where you grew up, but uh, when you have 10 inches of snow, you're going to need boots. You don't need boots in South Carolina and Florida, so they're going to need boots. Now, Ron's going to have to get the extra lifts in them, of course. That's going to be necessary. But there is one tradition in this part of the country when you have winter and you wear boots. Before you put on the boots, you've got to somehow find two empty Wonder Bread bags, put them over your feet, and then put your feet in the boots. That is required. If you don't do that, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. You're not going to be one of them. And the last thing I said, this sounds crazy, but if you want to be part of the in crowd, you've got to do this. It's sub-zero temperature. You're walking around. You've got to find any exposed metal. Monkey bars are my favorite. That's what I have the most experience with. But when you find that exposed metal, you've got to walk over and put your tongue on it. Sounds crazy, but if you want to be part of the cool kids, put your tongue on that fucking metal when it's 20 below. You'll love it.
Oh my God, that's like their initiation, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to be an Iowan, if you want their vote, you better fucking be able to play the game.
You need Wonder Bread plastic
Yeah. That's what we used
and
to do
stick
when we were
your
kids.
tongue to metal. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the traditions and the culture in this area, and you gotta fucking abide by it. Um, as I
That's
said,
hilarious.
Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, they're going head to head in a battle of titans for second place. Donald Trump is literally 30 points ahead of both of them. They have no chance of winning this. But I always see them, well, if Nikki comes in second place, that's trouble for Ron and it'll make it stronger in New Hampshire. I just don't even see the point. These people are going to vote for Donald Trump, so just fucking hand it to him.
Yeah, I don't see the point either because I did um, do some research and I was watching their debate too. Ron DeSantis hasn't really branched out anywhere else besides Iowa. So I don't know what his campaign managers are telling him that this is the smartest place to be, spend all your money here, campaign here, do all the interviews here. Dude, you're not, it's just moot. Like, I don't even understand the common sense behind it at all. He has no chance whatsoever.
As icky as you find Donald Trump, what's your read on Ron DeSantis?
A lot of these,
He's just weirdly awkward. I mean, just his
his
facial
smile,
features. Yeah, it's
he licks his lips. His smile is like, like someone is pulling your mouth open, and he does this little bobblehead thing with his smile, and he looks fake.
yeah, it's fake. That's exactly right. It's fake.
And I mean, to anyone that, like, I don't know, knows people or, pays attention or observant, can they not see right through the fact that he's there's like nothing there.
Yeah,
It's nothing there.
I mean, when you're dealing with people, or I'm dealing with people, or anybody's dealing with people, you've got to be able to have a way with people to make connections and to build a rapport with them. He just doesn't seem like he has any of those skills at all. He's just I don't know what it is. I mean, it's so much so that in recent times when he was meant to give speeches, his wife Casey is basically said, "Get the fuck out of the way. I'll talk," and she can speak a little bit better. I mean, she has her own issues, but I just don't see how this guy wins. I think he may be leading Nikki Haley at this point, but I think he's done. I think soon he'll be done.
He's so done. And the thing is, he's just really disconnected. And the even just the way he talks, his mannerisms, everything about him is there's like a grandiose thing about him. It's an ego. So he
Right.
definitely has ego. He perpetually lies. So even though Nikki Haley's like, from DeSantisLies.com, and I did look it up, but he does lie. I mean, he literally says Florida is the best. Florida is number one in education. Florida's number one. People are leaving California and other states to move to Florida, which is total bullshit.
It is.
And
It
he's
is.
believing it. I don't know who's telling him to say this, or he's like, this is my selling point, but it's all shit.
Well, it's when I look at Ron DeSantis talking, and I don't know much about this topic, but I've seen examples of it. This whole thing with AI, how they
Yeah.
can make somebody look like something, make somebody sound like something. But if you really watch it, it glitches. It's not them because it's not quite dead on. He looks like an AI bot of some sort because everything he does is so unnatural and it's just weird. Nobody would do that on purpose, but apparently Ron does.
You called it. He looks like an AI character, like he was created.
Yeah, he
And
does.
someone's behind a green screen or in front of a green screen and making him move. He's just really awkward.
Yeah,
And
he
there's
really is.
nothing, you know, anything about him
But
is
how
like
about
I don't trust this guy. And his wife is crazy. She reminds me of Gwen Shamblin. Do you know who Gwen Shamblin is?
no?
So I sometimes go down rabbit holes and I started watching all these documentaries on cults. And Gwen Shamblin is this crazy lady who had the documentary is called The Way Down. And she started getting her cult members by telling them the way to get to God was by losing weight. So she had all these tapes and books, and her hair was this big and her eyebrows are this big. And she just made a bunch of money off of people and manipulating them and doing this whole cult thing. Casey DeSantis looks like her. She reminds me exactly like her.
Wow. Well, I mean, people say
Yeah.
that about the Republicans, that it is a cult. And it's weird about cults. If you think back of all the cults, and I'm 63, so I've seen a lot of cults, Jim Jones, Manson, whatever. The person who's leading it is always really weird. And you would think people would say, God, that guy's weird. I'm not following him. But for whatever reason, they fall behind in lockstep like they've done with Donald Trump. It seems to be just the nature of people that are susceptible to being in a cult.
For sure. And then, DeSantis himself is part of it. I
Yeah.
mean, he specifically said that he will pardon Trump. He'll pardon him because that's the way for America to move forward
Yeah.
from this. Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is that's the excuse that was given when Nixon pardoned Gerald Ford. We need the country to heal.
Right.
We're in a much different situation now. And as far as indicting Donald Trump and prosecuting him, there may have been a time and it may have been a situation where it's better to leave the presidents alone because we just need the country to heal. I think we've flipped that at this point, that if Donald Trump isn't accountable, then the country won't heal. We must make him accountable and we must make him um, pay the price. Otherwise, people are just going to be disenchanted with the entire judicial system and our government. And we have enough problems with that already.
Well, for sure, it'll be complete anarchy.
It will, unfortunately. That's the one thing everybody's worried about. If Donald Trump is convicted, the Trumplafucks coming out in force and starting a civil war. And frankly, we're seeing nobody showing up when he was indicted or in the lawsuit or any. They're not showing up anymore because they're afraid. They know it's a big plot to put them all in jail. When you commit a crime, you go to jail. I think there's and I don't think there's any risk of this because I believe Donald Trump will lose, but I think there's more potential for violence if Donald Trump gets off and becomes president again, because there are people that are so fearful. I mean, they're more reasonably minded than the Republicans. But if you think your whole world is crashing in and your kid's future is gone, there's going to be a faction of people on the normal side that are going to say, I got nothing else to do but fight. That's what I'm concerned about.
I agree. I completely agree. I mean, it's crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, just I'm not anti-gun whatsoever. I think people are forgetting that we do have a strong military. You do have people on all sides that support the Amendment. Just because we want reform and we want safety for our children doesn't mean that we don't know what we're doing. I just
No,
don't, I just think that I mean, you get those individual crazies, once the judge is doxxed or Obama's, address is given. You'll get those, or Nancy Pelosi's husband, what's it,
right.
Paul
Paul
Pelosi?
Pelosi.
Like
Yeah.
those type of individual attacks, those are scary. I mean, those are really scary. As a whole, I think the Trump-lefucks are it's just talk, right? They're just loud. And I just don't know how much
Well,
they would actually.
in terms of January 6th, you'll never see that happen again because that was a perfect storm for them. They had an advocate in the White House. They had support in the DOJ. They had support in the Supreme Court. They had everything going for them. There's no reason they should have failed, but
Right,
they still fucking failed because they're incompetent fucking idiots. Um,
right.
but that's not the case anymore. They don't. That's how bullies behave. They will only fight somebody they know they can beat. If there's any kind of hint that they might lose, they're cowards, so they'll back away from it. And now the current situation, this is why I don't believe there's Republicans getting involved in anything, because Biden's in the White House. He can call out the National Guard. The states can call out the National Guards. These people are going to get absolutely wiped out if they try to pull something like that again, and they fucking know it. They don't have a friend in the White House anymore. So that's why I don't see them stepping up and doing anything. I think they're slowly but surely dismantling Trump LaFox in terms of power. That's why when they say Donald Trump, well, he won in 2016. Well, Donald Trump of 2016 is a big distance from Donald Trump in 2024. We didn't know anything about Donald Trump in 2016. Everything is known about him. So I don't know how people can kind of even try to compare that.
Yeah, there's definitely not a comparison. It's, kind of circling back with DeSantis and Nikki Haley. It's really interesting their stance on it that Ron DeSantis would still, say, I'm going to pardon him or I back of, Israeli war. Just so many things he says. It's like, I don't understand why, in your words, you're such a pussy ass bitch that you are going for presidency, right? Trump is your competitor, yet you're still licking his boots. Whereas Nikki Haley now is actually not going to pardon him, saying that he should be at the debates. He needs to stand up and, talk for himself, debate all the reasons why, and actually have, um, what am I trying to say? Like trying to have a conversation, have a like, whatever. I'm sorry, I missed my
Well, no,
words,
that's all
but
right. That's all right. I have to give credit where
thanks.
credit is due. The term pussy ass bitch I stole from Chrissy Teigen because she did a tweet calling Donald Trump a pussy ass bitch. I loved it, and I stole it. But the thing about Ron DeSantis, you said something about him. He's a liar, and he is without question a liar. He's saying he would pardon Donald Trump, but if some mystical, magical thing happened and Ron DeSantis became president, I bet he wouldn't. Why would you release somebody who's going to make your life miserable and be in your shit every day for the next 4 years while you're president? I don't think he will. I don't think he will pardon him. He'll say that now to get votes from the Trump-a-fucks, but I don't think he'd do it.
You don't?
No, I don't.
I
Why?
I do.
Once he got what he wanted, why would he?
Because I think he's weak.
Well, he is weak. There's no
And
question.
he's following the fascist suit, that authoritarian suit that he looks up to Trump for. So that's why I think he would end up doing it. I mean, Trump, he's so old anyway. It's like in DeSantis's eyes, why, why not pardon the old guy? He's going to be, 80s in jail type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
Uh, People are looking at Nikki Haley as the normal one. I disagree with that. What are your thoughts on Nikki Haley?
Well, out of their latest debate, I mean, she was easier to listen to. She was definitely more like coherent in her answers, but I don't like her at all. She's anti-BLM, she's pro. Her experience is a lot more than DeSantis. She was in
Absolutely.
the UN, right? So, and I was looking her up and some of the things, her points of view when it comes to pro-choice, taxes. I'm like, I can see that kind of makes sense, but she really is not any better. And I really don't love using the term the lesser of two evils. But if
Right.
you're going to, Nikki Haley is the
And I,
lesser of two evils of those two.
and I think she's going for that. She's much more polished than Ron DeSantis and when she talks to people. But we have to remember that she was a crazy Trump pumper. Yes, she was in the UN, but she was appointed by Donald Trump. She supported Donald Trump all the way. And when they asked them on the stage, would you pardon Donald Trump or would you still vote for him if he were convicted? She raised her hand too.
She
She's just
did.
smoother than Ron DeSantis. I don't think she's any better than Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, I agree. You said the word. She's more polished.
Yeah.
That's what it is. She's a good sell.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a good talker. And but do you think the Republican Party, even though some people are getting behind her now, do you think the Republican Party is willing and able to have a nominee who happens to be a woman,
Woman? No, I don't think they're
born of
ready for that.
immigrants, born of East Indian immigrants? I don't see that happening.
I don't, they're not, the Republicans are definitely not ready for that. I think I saw that she was supported by the Koch brothers, so she does
Yeah.
have money to do it. She's backed financially to go for it, but
Well, the Koch brothers are well, one's dead, but they're businessmen and they do look at some logic. They're evil as fuck, but they're
yeah,
logical, and they see Donald Trump as a debi- a what am I trying to say? They know he can't win. They haven't
right,
dr- they haven't they didn't drink the Kool-Aid. They can understand what's really the case. They know Donald Trump can't win. The Koch brothers also did a campaign telling people Donald Trump's fucked. Forget about him. It's time we do
right,
something that's going to allow us to win. So they get behind Nikki Haley, and to me, that tells me when I say Donald Trump won't be the nominee, people say that's crazy. He's got all the votes. He's got all this. I say, yeah, but he's got a lot of fucking problems too. And if the Koch brothers are willing to put millions behind Nikki Haley, they got to be thinking that Donald Trump is going to be dropping out too, because she can't beat him in numbers. So the only other option is if they think Nikki Haley has a chance, that's only going to happen if Donald Trump drops out.
right, right. That is the only way. And it's really interesting to think about because yeah, you have the polls, you have Trump, then you have DeSantis, and you have Haley. Thank goodness Schmarmy is out of there. That guy, oh my gosh. Anyway, that's a whole nother episode. Um, but if you have the constituents that are going to support Trump and he is out, and then you have DeSantis and Haley, but the right side, the Republicans are already super split and it's not even in thirds. It's like
Right,
75%, and then the other two are splitting 25%,
right,
maybe.
right,
Like how would they the right side has zero chance.
right. They have zero chance, and that's why I say that there's no way that Biden's going to get beat. But here's an interesting scenario. I brought it up with Old Soul, and it's a crazy scenario. I have no reason to believe it's going to happen. I'm just looking at the facts and see what might happen. I believe Donald Trump won't be able to take the pressure. He'll be incapacitated or dumped or whatever. He won't be the nominee. He'll just be too damaged and too much baggage, and he might physically not be able to do it. So then you have Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. The longer Donald Trump stays in the race, the faster Ron DeSantis is going to quit, because Ron DeSantis is weak as shit right now. Then you have Nikki Haley, who doesn't really have that much support. And the problem is, a lot of people think that if Donald Trump isn't in office or isn't the nominee, then his people just won't vote. So now all of a sudden you've got 25% Republicans just not voting. That affects the presidential race. That affects the down ballot too. They're fucked if Donald Trump
Right.
isn't the nominee. So I don't think the Republicans are going to kick him out, but I think something's going to happen where he just won't be able to do it. It just doesn't make any sense. So here's my thought. I said this to Old Soul, and I'm just curious as to what you think. Chris Christie, who I don't like, who would be a horrible president, but did speak out against Donald Trump. When he dropped out of the race, and maybe I'm just reading too much into this, but when he dropped out of the race, he didn't say, I quit. He said, I'm suspending my candidacy. So Donald Trump drops out. Ron DeSantis maybe drops out before Donald Trump. You got Nikki Haley, who's too fucking weak to do anything. And the longer Donald Trump stays in the race, the closer we get to the election. And then all of a sudden, the Republicans have a shit show. They got an election coming up, but they don't know who to put in there. Do they try to go the normal route? Do they try to get another Trump the fuck? You know what? I like the fact that Donald Trump is staying in the race as long as he can, because it will give shorter time for the Republicans to put something together. Because other than
Right.
Donald Trump, they have nothing put together.
Right. Right. So with Chris Christie saying that he's just suspending, do you
Yeah,
think that he would try to roll back in?
I think if he get given up the opportunity, he would. I don't even know if Chris Christie thought he had a chance under the current circumstances. He knew once he went after Donald Trump, he was going to piss off a large percentage of the Republicans. I don't know if he was just trying to fall on the sword and take down Donald Trump for the good of the country. And then I look at his history and I go, he ain't doing nothing for the country. He's only doing shit for himself. I don't know. Maybe it's not even Chris Christie. Maybe they pull Mitt Romney out of the fucking closet or whatever they do. They're going to have to do something. And if Donald Trump has been convicted or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, we had this conversation about this Max that wanted me to talk about 2025, Project 2025, and how draconian and the future is horrible and all that stuff. I just don't think that's ever going to occur, because when the Republicans get beat in 2024, they're going to have to step away from this whole MAGA Donald Trump thing, because it's been nothing but a loser for them. They're going to have to regroup and come back as something else. It's a matter of how they come back and who they have fronting them. That's what I'm saying. I don't know in 2024 who really is going to be the candidate. Nikki
Well, I don't know.
Ron
I
are,
mean, I just assume Trump, with his ego, narcissistic ways, that he's just going to go all, push all the way through as far as he can, which is good for us because, like you said, it doesn't give them any time to organize a new possible representative. Um, I don't think Nikki Haley's going to do it. They're not ready for a woman.
no,
Ron DeSantis, definitely not. Chris Christie, the only thing I give him credit for first is to be the first one to, talk shit about Trump. But other than that, he's literally done nothing.
yeah,
His arguments during the debate are weak.
yeah,
Don't trust him.
he's not a good candidate. There isn't a good Republican candidate. I think that um, we're going to see the ultimate demise of the Republican Party as we know it now. They're going to have to change after 2024. It's amazing to me that they haven't done that before now. I don't understand it either, because you know what you know, I know what I know, and we know that there's halfway intelligent people in the Republican Party. They see all the things we see. We know behind closed doors they talk about Donald Trump, but they refuse to step away from him. Are they afraid of him, or are they afraid of the 25% that follow him? I've never been able to understand that. It's just not good planning for the future. It's about what can get me something now, and that's never good when you're talking about politics.
I just don't understand why they're not stepping away with confidence. I mean, anyone that has been around Trump, he's endorsed, has touched him, even says his name in that party, they're all falling down. They're being disbarred. They're going bankrupt. They're going to jail. Like they're all toast. Anyone around him is
It's
done. Why wouldn't you step away from that?
Yeah, it's almost like an abused family or an abused wife. You know, she gets abused, the police take him away, and then 2 weeks later she takes him back and goes through the whole same thing again. They kick him out again, and she always takes him back. I don't know if it's some kind of whether it's the cult aspect of it or just somebody who's abused doesn't know another way, so they just go back to what's familiar to them, and it's tragic in the end.
It's interesting that you brought up Mitt Romney, though, because here's a gentleman that was paying, what, $5,000 a day and additional security for him and his family. Not sure that he would put himself back into, or even in a larger leadership role, such as the president.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know that he would either, but it's interesting. He did retire. He's going to be out of a job in 2024, so he's available.
Yeah, well, he has plenty of money. He doesn't need to get back into it,
Yeah,
Mr. Cole.
and I threw him out there because he's one of the at least perceived relatively normal people, which seems crazy to me because he's a Mormon, and
Yeah,
I've known Mormons. I've lived in a community with Mormons, and while they're very nice people to me, I know in front of me they like me and are friendly to me, but because I'm not Mormon, they're not fond of me. It's all very plastic, and they have some weird ideas about things, and they're more than welcome to believe whatever they want. But
it's a
uh,
created religion.
yeah,
They
yeah.
create their own disciples. It's, like you said, to each their own, but it's not even a real deal.
Whatever gets you through the night, and the Mormon, and people call it a cult, and I can see why it would be called a cult. If I've listened to so many of them tell me about their religion, it's not unlike what Donald Trump's has got going. I mean, I don't even know if Donald Trump really intended to build a cult. It just seems like it happened organically because he is who he is, and people just get behind him and follow whatever he does. Um, I'm amazed by the lawyers he hires too.
Oh
He
my,
he tells them what to do, and he knows nothing, and they do
right,
it. They're ruining
right.
their careers. They're getting sanctioned. They're getting disbarred. They're going to get sued. I don't know what the draw is. Why they continue to bow to Donald Trump and just ruin their lives.
It's the name, it's showboating. That's all that it is. In his mind, it's still a show. He's not making cognitive like decisions. There's nothing smart about any of these people and any of their plays. I can't wait for, I'm just counting the minutes for Alina Haba or whatever her name is. Ding dong, like she's another Bobo. Um, I'm just waiting for her to get disbarred. It's
I
gonna
think,
happen.
yeah, it's going to happen because she's no doubt done some shady things, because she said some shady things, and I watch her. They had when she was in court the other day, they were watching her. I think it's starting to get to her because her hands were really fidgety and she seemed really nervous. They're
Yeah.
coming to the end of this trial. They're going to lose. And I've said this before, a lesson I learned when I had a father who was a narcissist and who would go off the deep end and rant and rave and yell and scream like Donald Trump is said to do. When you're a child and you have a father like that, when he goes off the deep end and yells and screams, even if he doesn't hit you, if he's yelling and screaming, it scares the shit out of you. And as a little child, you will do anything to keep daddy calm. And that's kind of how I learned how to read people, because I'd watch his face, I'd watch his mannerisms, and I know he's going to the dark side. So I'd do something funny or get him talking about something else or pat him on the back or whatever. I knew what it would take to get him off that track. And I think that happens a lot in Donald Trump's world. They don't want daddy to lose his shit, literally or figuratively. So so they're just they're like abused kids themselves in the sense that they'll do anything and even put their own reputations at risk just to keep Donnie happy. And we see how that's worked out 6 years later.
Yeah, well, they're signing up for it. I
Yeah.
mean, here we are 6, 7 years later. You see the domino effect of anyone that tries to help him, support him. They surround themselves, whatever the case is. When you're around this man, you are going down. All these years later, are you not paying attention to the previous peeps? Are you not? You're signing up to do this. So Alina Haba deserves everything that is coming to her.
Oh, she does.
Jenna Ellis, all of them.
Well, and then there's this Chris Keiss. This guy is supposed to be a respected lawyer. And then there's this sour guy, like when he was trying to sell Donald Trump on his immunity, and the judge just tore him to shreds by saying, "So are you saying that if he isn't impeached, he could send SEAL Team 6 over to kill his opponent?" And the guy didn't want to say, "Yes, that's true," a qualified yes. Bullshit. There is
Right.
nowhere in the Constitution that suggests that. But he's trying so hard to sell. Uh, it's like, I've never really done this because I refuse to do it. But if you've ever been in sales and you're trying to sell something that you just don't believe in, it's
Mhm.
really, really hard. I remember when I was I was like 16, and these girls I knew got me to go to work with them. And I was on the phone selling carpet cleaning. I knew it was a scam. I knew it was bullshit. And I was horrible at it. I was absolutely horrible at it. But these people are so desperate. I think they really think their arrogance gets them to the point they think they're so smart that they can bullshit their way through. Maybe they've done that all their whole life, but now it's not working and they're confused. They don't know what. They've been able to bully their way through all these things all these years, and now it's not working. And they've got to be frantic in the background.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they can't, in law, there's a lot of loopholes, right? There's a lot
Yeah.
of gray areas, and they are out of loopholes. They're at a point where they're stumbling over their own words, where a judge or an interviewer, it doesn't matter, they will ask them a yes or no question. And it's never just yes or no. It is da 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 da, and it's a distraction for people. And I'm sure for the judges, it has to be extremely frustrating and really annoying that these guys, these people, are just trying to sell ice to an Eskimo, right? They're like, I know the law, I've been in my position. Team SEAL 6, yes or no?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
bullshit.
I mean, that's the one thing where the media fell down when they had Donald Trump or they had some other Trump the fuck in there and they'd ask him a pointed question and they do exactly what you said, they'd let him off the hook every time.
Right.
And and that's why nothing ever got answered. They were never exposed for who they were or the lies they were telling because nobody held them accountable. Nobody put their feet to the fire. And that's part of the reason why people buy into shit because, like I've said, you and I will dig into stuff and try to find out the true facts from good sources. Most people, and I'm not doing this to diminish anybody, but most people have other things in their life. They're not sad people like you and I that spend all this time looking into it. But
Speak for yourself.
all right, all right. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. But
No, you're
anyway,
good.
but people are when it comes to that, they're lazy. They like the clickbait. They like the headlines. You know,
Right.
you can write a headline that, um, and they do it all the time. They'll say Donald Trump won in court in New York. Oh, it's over. He won. When he may have won some little teeny thing, they don't tell the whole story, and people are too lazy to read the whole story.
Right.
I think this country is woefully misinformed. People just don't know the true facts, and that's kind of the point of doing uh, the rational boomer thing, is to try to give people a little more information so they don't freak out or jump off a bridge because they think the world is going to end because Donald Trump wins every time he moves.
Right. Well, you have the Fox News listeners, and they're dedicated to Fox,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
All about it. But it's like, don't you realize that Fox listed themselves under entertainment?
right,
I mean, have you looked at what's her name? Laura Ingraham. She looks like a character. Jesse Waters, he is a character. Tuckums. Like, there is nothing serious about these people. How are you not seeing that it is entertainment? It's full of lies. It's scare tactics. It's just crap. So I like for me, I read the AP, NPR.
right,
I'll watch PBS, sometimes BBC. Like you have to do some more worldwide news here than just even our own local news, our own media.
right.
MSNBC sometimes, not always.
I get
Like
tired of them after a while. I look at them
yeah,
as a default just to get the stories, but I don't
yeah,
get the facts of the stories from them. I'll go to
yeah.
AP or NPR or something like that. If they say, okay, this happened, now I'll just say, I got to find out what really happened, what the real truth is. Did you hear what Jesse Waters' latest uh, claim is?
No. What
uh,
is it?
you know what the Republicans are most fearful of in this 2024 race? The one person they're most fearful of? Taylor Swift. And they should
Oh,
be, because Taylor Swift is more popular than any politician, certainly anybody on Fox News. And, a while back they said she's tied to George Soros. I said, what? Taylor's a fucking billionaire. She don't need some old man's money. She's good. But just recently, because of, her getting people out to vote and stuff, they went on and they said, Taylor Swift is a psyop. She's working for the Democrats.
oh my God.
Wow. Yeah, Taylor Swift needs a fucking other job.
Oh my God. Yeah,
That
she's what, hired by the Pentagon or something. Like, geez, they're it just dumb, just dumb. They can't even give this woman credit at
no,
all.
and
And they're just upset that she has such a massive positive influence and people respond. Gen Zers respond. Gen X, everyone's responding to her.
I
So,
I'm not a fan of her music. Couple songs I think "Shake It Off's" kind of cool, but I don't know many of her songs, and
me either.
you know, it isn't my taste to listen to songs about a young woman breaking up with her boyfriend. But she's obviously hugely, hugely popular, and over and above the music, I respect her.
Yeah,
I've said this before on the documentary where she was going to speak out about a senator in Tennessee who's Marsha Blackburn, who's a fucking nutcase. Um, and everybody, all the old white men said, "Oh, don't do that. That'll hurt you." And she goes, "I don't fucking care. It's
yeah.
too important to me. I'm going to do it anyway." And that's something I haven't seen from people in entertainment or people in politics for a long time. And that's a little bit of integrity. It's refreshing to see some integrity for fucking once.
Absolutely. I'm not super familiar with her songs either. But I definitely respect her. I'm gonna watch her, the Heiress
Yeah.
documentary. Of course, I'm gonna watch it. I love the influence. I love the strength. Of course, I love that she's a young woman, um, and speaking her mind and standing up for what's right. She's on the right side of history over here.
Did you hear what the Republicans' response to Swift is? Or Taylor Swift is? What they're going to do to combat Taylor Swift, the entertainer, the musician? Apparently Kid Rock's got a tour coming up.
Oh my,
Oh, the kids
what
will
about
just love
Ted
him.
Nugent?
Yeah, yeah, Ted Nugent. I grew up in the era when Ted Nugent was at his height. As far as I know, there's only one song that he ever did that was popular, and that was Cat Scratch Fever, and I didn't like that fucking song. He was
Right.
basically a one-hit wonder. People always say, "Well, Ted's a rock." I go, "Listen, man, if I want to listen to a rock star singer, it isn't Ted Nugent. I'll listen to Robert Plant or Mick Jagger or something." Fucking Ted Nugent, Jesus
Right.
Christ.
It's like we forgot about that guy already. I mean, there it's very interesting that they're going to do Kid Rock. He's kind of outdated, and
Yeah,
he's really not like smart or cool. There's
no.
nothing cool about this guy.
No, well, maybe in the '90s he might have been. Maybe
Maybe,
for the
yeah.
Gen Xers, he's a hot commodity. But if they're trying to get the Gen Zs and the millennials, it's not going to go. It's not going to go.
Yeah, he's scraggle. He's gross.
But but the thing about it is what amazes me with the Republicans. We talked about the thing with Hunter Biden and how they got totally played in that situation. It seems like every time they do something, try to pull something out of their sleeve to show up the libtards, they always fail. They not
Yeah.
only always fail, they always get embarrassed. And the ironic thing is they apparently don't learn from their failures because they just do it again. Oh, we tried to get Elvin Bragg and Fonnie Willis. That didn't work. So let's try Cassidy Hutchinson. Come on, learn a fucking lesson. Try a different strategy.
They just continue to double down and triple down, and it's all just a game. And it's all just they just want to win, but they're not winning anything.
No, they're
I
losing every
mean,
time.
they lose every time. They still have, interesting enough, I mean, you have the boomers. They're old and they're white and they're Republicans. No offense to you, sir.
I'm
You're
a,
cool.
I'm
You're
a,
cool AF.
I'm a young boomer.
You're a cool young boomer, but yeah, so you still, I mean, that generation's going to die off. And I really think it's going to happen sooner than later. And I think that's who the Republicans are, appealing to.
When we talk about boomers, I was born in 60 and 64 is the cutoff date for boomers. So I'm a younger boomer. And I was trying to think to myself, are boomers really that bad? I mean, are they really that racist and such? And of course, the
Yeah,
older ones that, maybe 15, 16 years older than me, they're a different generation. But I recently was going to have to go back to my high school reunion, and I've gone back to all of them, but I haven't since Donald Trump came in office because I found out there are a lot of people I went to high school with that were from South Minneapolis that are big time Trump humpers, and they know what I do, which is fine. None of them scare me. I could have kicked their ass in high school. I'll kick their ass now, but it struck me. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a Trump humper. I go, dude, you went to the same school. You lived in the
right.
same neighborhood. We went to fucking college together. How can you possibly be supporting
Right.
Donald Trump and I'm the only smart one here? How is that possible? And it still amazes me. I don't get it. It's just it must be a susceptibility in somebody's mind that they are sucked in by dumb fucks. I don't know.
That's true. I mean, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be generational or age. You can be the same age and someone, it's the same thing with me. One of my girlfriends that we've been friends since we were 15 years old, and bloop, that's the direction she went. I was like, I tried for a little bit. I fought for that friendship for a second, and then I said, peace out. I really don't have the answer.
Well,
I
well,
wish I did, because I'd wave my wand.
how do you feel about that? Like I said, we've all lost somebody for whatever reason with this whole Trump thing, family member, friend, or whatever. And my
Yeah,
wife will always say, don't you miss that or miss them? And I go, I would, but I know who they are.
right.
So now I don't like them. I don't trust them. I don't think they want what's best for this country, which means it hurts my kids and my grandkids. So that's a bridge too far for me. I don't care if you're my mom. If that's what you did, I'd have to cut it off from you. Um, so do you have any problems making those severing those ties given the circumstances? I mean, it's tough when you have friends for years.
I mean, I did it with my mom's brother. I don't even call him my uncle.
Really?
His name is Mike, and that's just it's my mother's brother. Absolutely. I've gotten to this point. It's just a level of toxicity that I personally don't have any tolerance for. And there's no reason why I should put my beliefs and values aside for somebody who is racist
Right.
or a bigot, or I have zero tolerance for it. I really don't care who you are. And even this was a little bit ago, but I was working in one of my personal assistant jobs, pretty affluent couple. Um, didn't really know in the beginning when I took the job, but ended up being Trump supporters. And in a very short amount of time, I got out of there.
Yeah.
It does not match who I am, what I do, what I stand for, at all in the slightest. So no, it's not a loss.
Well, and in life when you deal with friends or family, there are some things you have to allow for. Maybe they drink a little more, maybe they
Oh yeah.
swear a little more, which there are a lot of people go, he swears too much. I go, fuck
That's
you.
me.
Fuck you. But it's funny. I'll get people coming to me and say, you swear too much. And I go, well, you know what? It's not like I'm using it as an affectation. I'm not swearing to surprise you or to sensationalize anything. This is just the fucking way I talk. This is just
Totally.
the way I talk. And every time we've come in a situation, because my wife always says, you do swear too much. I go, no. 99% of the people who listen to the podcast or the TikToks support me swearing, actually like me swearing. I don't know why. I get a
Love
lot
it.
of people. One of my greatest, I've said this before, one of my greatest compliments was from uh, African American man who follows me on TikTok. He says, "You know why I like you? Because you swear like a brother." Well, I'm not trying to imitate anybody, but that's just the way I do. But we've been in occasion, um, on a couple of occasions, my wife's been with me and somebody recognized me and they walk up and my wife doesn't really know what to do with that because she still thinks I'm nobody. Um, but she'll always have to say, she goes, yeah, but he swears too much, doesn't he? And they always go, no, fuck no, he's fine. She doesn't know what to do with that.
That's exactly with me. It's the way I talk. I use the F-bomb. It's my favorite. It just flows. It literally is how I communicate. So my family, whether they mean to or not, whether it's subconscious or not, they start swearing along with me. My sisters allow me to swear in front of the kids. They're not using the same language. It's literally how I
Yeah.
talk. It's my phonetics.
Well, it's funny, my wife was a school teacher, a grade school teacher. She's a mom. She's a grandma. Uh, she was always against swearing. She swore. She grew up in the same era I did. But it's funny since she retired, and she gets a little tense when she's driving, and I'll be sitting, and she likes to drive because she likes to control it, and I'm fine. I'll fucking sleep in the passenger seat. I don't care. I don't feel like I lose my masculinity because she drives, but anyway, she's driving and she's nervous. And when somebody cuts in front of her, this woman I've been married to 40 years, she goes, "Fuck you, you cocksucker." I'm going, wow, nice way to talk for a grandma. She goes,
Oh
well, you
man,
fucking said.
she's got a little road rage too, huh?
She got a little road rage and like my mother never really swore much too, but toward the end, she was throwing the F word around. I just don't see it as a huge deal. Uh,
Me neither.
Well, and I don't know if you heard the story. It's going down through the generations because I was with my granddaughter. She's 3 years old, She was playing on her dad's tablet, and she was playing this game where she ran her fingers around, and all of a sudden I'm watching, and she's doing this, and it stops, and she goes, "You fucker." And I go, "Junie, what what are you saying?" And this little kid looks at me, and she goes, "Oh, Grandpa, I wasn't calling you that. I was calling this guy the fucker." I go,
Oh my,
oh wow. I got to straighten this shit
you
out.
have a smarty pants on your
I
hands,
do, man.
and
She's going to be hard to deal with, but I love her anyway. Well, we're at the end. We went long, but like I said, it's my show. I do whatever the fuck I want. And I told you when we started this, we weren't going to have any problem coming up with conversation. And I appreciate you coming on. It was a great show, and I hope you don't stay away too long, like Old Soul and some of these other folks. Come on anytime, as much as you want. I'm all for it.
awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad that we finally connected. It was fun. It
Yeah,
was a
great.
lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. I had a good time, and it's nice talking to other people of a like mind that are are as articulate as you and the others are. So it's great fun for me, and I know the folks listening will love it too. Um, and like some of the other ones, like Old So, you might end up with a fan club. I'm just saying, so just be careful.
We'll see.
There's some
Old
weirdos
Soul
out there.
takes the cake for sure.
She does, but we all have our different personalities. So thank you, Khristi, for coming on. For the folks
Thank
listening, I
you.
want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen. Hope you have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow.